So what we're seeing is, for innovation to succeed, you have to have the right culture. And the culture should be fail. Fail fast, fail forward. And a great example of that is what we saw at the beginning of this conference, right? With SpaceX returning the rocket back to the launch pad. And I was watching it on the plane in here, and what the person commenting when he took off said, I don't expect this thing to actually work. I expect it to crash or land in the sea. But when it returned, everybody was surprised, but the person said, Elon Musk is on record saying, I don't care if it crashes. I'm collecting enough data to learn what went wrong so that we can get it right the next time. So you need to have leadership who are brave enough to enable their people to take chances, to fail, and then you're going to get innovation at much higher rates. So in South Africa, we are seeing, because of the intersection of the various challenges we have, which is low GDP growth, a skill set that's not ideal for the future of manufacturing. We've got all this global challenges are being put upon us. As a developing nation, we must comply with CBAM, with the dirty things, and all that cost associated with that. How do we solve these simultaneous equations to still be competitive in the market? And I'm glad to tell you that we do this, because we'll be releasing our PwC manufacturing report next week. And manufacturers have increased their revenues in South Africa. Food and bev has been one of the largest performers. Profits have plummeted, but that's because they have now 146% down, but because they are reinvesting to try and survive all of these competing needs. And what I feel is important is, if we talk about a just transition, right? There's a just energy transition, there's a just industrialization challenge. We need to have the developed countries investing in Africa and South Africa to help us green our grids. We can't have the countries, and you've heard this before, but I'm going to reiterate it because it's such an important point, is that the climate crisis we're having was created by the developed countries' majority. We look at carbon indices and carbon intensity, but the Earth doesn't care about how much of carbon CO2 equivalent tons you create per capita, per whatever. It's about actual tons generated. The people generating those large amounts of tons of carbon, the 40 billion I heard yesterday, should be taking more responsibility, not looking at an index that says South Africa is the most carbon-intensive country in the G20, because our economy is mainly primary orientated. Obviously, we'll be more carbon intensive versus somebody like the UK, which is tertiary financial services orientated. So we need to have investment to help us transition to level the playing field. Why must we pay additional taxes to access the European market because of CBAM when we didn't create the problem?